Good evening. We want to call our January 10th meeting of the Aiken City Council to order at this time. We're going to start with an invocation, which will be followed by a pledge, which I'll ask Chief Barranco to lead. Before our invocation, though, we even though as we start a new year, we're going to have a moment of silence. I'm going to ask in a minute our city manager to recognize those employees in 2021 who are no longer with us in way of not retirement, but have passed, and we certainly want to pay respect to them as we start this new chapter. So if you're inclined, please feel free to rise with me, and I would like to ask our city manager to, if he would, speak to those employees. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Good evening. I would like to acknowledge and ask if you're so inclined to offer a moment of silence. In 2021, we had 3 active city employees pass away. In March, we lost Arthur Munns of Parks, Recreation, and Tourism. In June, David Meriwether of Parks, Recreation, and Tourism. And then in August, Kevin Simmons of Public Safety. So please join me in a moment of silence.
Thank you. Let's pray. Father, as we come to you on this, the beginning of a new season, a new year, we come to you with humbled hearts, approaching you with asking for wisdom, for courage, for strength. We ask that your blessings would be upon our city, your protection upon those who live here, those who serve. We ask that you would give this council wisdom in the upcoming year, that we would do what is in the best interest and what would be pleasing to you and most. It's in your name we ask it and give all the glory. Amen.
Amen.
Chief, good evening.
Good evening, Council.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Beatonbow, thank you for that. Guidelines for our city meetings. Meetings are public forums in which many opinions are expressed and the business of the city must be conducted. As such, disciplined, honorable, and professional decorum is paramount. Courteous and respectful communication is expected. During public hearings, all questions and statements from the public shall be directed to the chair. If you wish to speak, raise your hand and I will certainly recognize you. Please approach the podium and state your name and address. In order to allow an opportunity for everyone who wishes to address council, speakers should limit their comments to the subject being discussed. Each speaker will be given 5 minutes to address an issue and may only address an issue once unless questions from council are posed to that speaker. So we thank you for observing our guidelines. And as we move down to additions or deletions to the agenda, I would recognize Mayor Pro Tem Waltz. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem.
Good evening. There are no additions or deletions today.
All right. So in way of a motion, the agenda as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Thank you, Councilwoman Diggs. All those in favor of the agenda as presented, please raise your hand. And that's unanimous. Thank you. The minutes were distributed to council members for their review with our packet. At this time, I would entertain a motion for the acceptance of the minutes.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Thank you, Councilwoman Price. Is there a second?
A second, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Thank you, Councilwoman Broll. All those in favor of accepting the minutes as presented, please raise your hand. And that's unanimous. Thank you. As we move down to old business, item number 1 is approval of appointments and discussion of appointees to various boards, commissions, and committees. And I will recognize once again our city manager, Mr. Beatonbow, for this. Mr. Beatonbow.
Thank you. We have the following appointment, and that is Sam Erb to the Planning Commission. The following reappointments: John McMichael to the Design Review Board, Charles Matthews to the Planning Commission, and John Wallace to the Recreation Commission.
Very good. Thank you. Is there a motion for approval of these appointments?
I so move, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Thank you, Councilwoman Broll. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Waltz. So all those in favor, please raise your hand. And that's unanimous. Thank you. Are there any names or appointments to be considered for our next public meeting?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to reappoint John Brett for the Board of Zoning Appeals, and also Dr. Steve Simmons for the Planning Commission.
Very good. Any other appointments to be considered our next meeting? All right, very good. Thank you, Councilwoman Diggs. Moving down old business to item number 2. This is the second reading and public hearing of an ordinance for the city of Aiken to participate in the CDBG Section 108 Loan Guarantee Program. By title, an ordinance authorizing the city of Aiken to accept a loan from the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development for the funding of the Williamsburg Street redevelopment project.
Mr. Mayor, I have to accuse myself.
Yes, sir, absolutely. We'll pause for a moment.
Goodbye. Come see me.
Good. All right, is there a motion?
Also moved.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Diggs. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Councilwoman Price, thank you. Comments from staff?
Thank you. We were approved in July of last year for the Section 108 loan from the Department of Housing and Urban Development. It would be in advance, basically a loan of $999,000 that would utilize a portion of our annual allocated CDBG funds to install new infrastructure and streetscape as part of the Williamsburg Street redevelopment project, which is in the area around the farmers market. One of the conditions for approval is the council approve this ordinance that identifies the city's pledge of its full faith and credit for this loan. The way we're going to repay this is through a reduction of our annual CDBG allotment of approximately $50,000 over the next 20 years, and it is up for second reading this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Beadnell. Any comments from the audience? Any comments, questions from council?
Just for clarity, we still will be getting some funds in under CDBG. We're just not using all the funds. We're just separating this small amount.
Correct.
That is correct. We receive approximately we receive $199,945 a year. So $50,000 of that would be allocated to repay HUD over the next 20 years.
Okay.
Okay, very good. With that, all those in favor of the second reading, please raise your hand. And that's unanimous with the minutes reflecting that Mr. Waltz has recused himself on this. And while we're waiting on Councilman Waltz to come back in, I would like to introduce to council Mr. Al Jenkins, who's a regional director for Senator Tim Scott, is with us. Mr. Jenkins, we appreciate you being with us tonight. And
I'll be handling everything for the senator in this area.
very good. Well, it's nice to see you here this evening. Thank you. All right, very good. We're moving down to new business at this time. Item number 1. This is a first reading of an ordinance to approve a concept plan for property located on Neilson Street. By title, an ordinance to approve the concept plan for property located near Neilson Street. So with that, is there a motion?
So moved.
All right, Councilman Girardeau, thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Diggs. Comments from staff?
Thank you. The applicant is requesting a concept plan approval for 8 acres of this property on Neilson. It is a concept plan that was annexed and zoned plan residential in June 2021 by city ordinance listed. For any development in the planned residential zone, you must have a concept plan reviewed by the Planning Commission and approved by City Council. The applicant is proposing a 90-unit multifamily rental development on 8 acres. It'll be 3-story structures with 3-story structures with 24 units and 1 2-story structure with 18 units. Heated space of anywhere from 765 to almost 1,200 square feet with washer dryer connections, a patio balcony, playground and community green space. The Planning Commission reviewed the concept plan, and all those present unanimously voted to recommend approval with the following conditions: that the undeveloped parcel be upgraded for passive recreational use, and that crosswalks are installed to access the recreational area, that no structure closer than 10 feet to the perimeter boundary, no structure is closer than 10 feet, and that the development comply with our tree preservation and landscape requirements. developer receive encroachment permit approval from the city. Each entrance have a monument sign of no more than 32 square feet or 32 square feet total for a double-sided sign and be no more than 6 feet high. The traffic study be required and approved by the on-call traffic engineer, and that the applicant sign an agreement stating the conditions of approval within 180 days. I wrote this memo before the holidays, and at the time, they wanted consideration to waive the traffic study. However, they have already ordered the traffic study, so I got word last week from the developer that's the case. So this concept plan is before council this evening.
Very good.
That answers my question.
Any comments from the audience? Okay. And I know you had
I'm
already
sorry,
answered yours.
I didn't mean to misspeak
No, you're
there,
fine.
Mr.
So,
Mayor. Yeah, because I was looking at this and had seen that wasn't required traffic study, and then they had their site design incorporated, also said that, but then Planning Commission left condition number 5 in, so now that answers.
He initially, when I talked to him before Christmas, he did say, could you ask council to waive it? But again, he sent me an email last week, Mr. Fitch did, and said they've gone ahead, or one of his individuals that works for him, and said they've already gone ahead and ordered it, so it's
And
sort
there
of
shouldn't
a
be any
moot point.
problem.
my only question on this is actually the road that the development team agreed to put on that tied into, I believe, Neilson.
Yes.
How is that coming along?
That's coming along and will be completed around the time that Woodford Trace is completed.
So will that be done before there's a certificate of occupancy?
Yes. The certificate of occupancy is contingent on the road work. You're talking about for the existing
Yeah,
project?
yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Very good. All right. Hearing no more questions on first reading, all those in favor of this ordinance on first reading for a concept plan, please raise your hand. And that's unanimous. Thank you. Moving down new business item number 2, this is a first reading of an ordinance to annex 2 properties owned by the city of Aiken located near Pawnee and Neilson Street by title and ordinance to annex 2 properties to the city of Aiken. Is there a motion? All right. Thank you, Councilman Jericho. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Councilwoman Diggs. Comments from staff?
Thank you. We do have this request to annex these 2 parcels of approximately 3/4 of an acre total. One is 2/3 of an acre, one is 9/100ths of an acre as part of the right-of-way for the road. As you know, we were granted this by the then property owner, and since it is a right-of-way, no zoning designation is needed. And the Planning Commission, all those present unanimously recommended annexation.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Beaver. Any comments from the audience? Comments, questions from council? Hearing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. And that's unanimous. Thank you. Moving down new business item number 3, this is a first reading of an ordinance to annex property at 902 Cherokee Street and zone it residential single-family RS10 by title and ordinance to annex property located at 902 Cherokee Street and to zone the same residential single-family RS10. Is there a motion?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman Price. Is there a second?
I second.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Diggs. Comments from staff?
Sure. The applicant is, it's a 3/200ths of an acre. We're recommending it to be zoned RS10, consistent with surrounding uses and zoning. And the Planning Commission, at their last meeting, all those present unanimously recommended annexation zoning of RS10.
Very good, thank you, sir. Any comments from the audience? Comments? Questions from council? Hearing none, all those in favor on first reading, please raise your hand. And that's unanimous, thank you. Moving down new business, item number 4, this is a first reading of an ordinance to annex property at 1313 Evans Road and zone it residential single-family RS15 by title and ordinance to annex property located at 1313 Evans Road Southwest and to zone the same residential single-family RS15. Is there a motion?
I so moved.
Thank you, Councilwoman Diggs. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Waltz. Comments from staff?
Thank you. Properties 6,700ths of an acre. Recommended zoning is RS15, which is consistent with surrounding uses and zoning. All those present at the Planning Commission meeting in December unanimously recommended annexation and zoning RS-15.
Very good, thank you, sir. Any comments from the audience? Okay. Comments or questions from council? Hearing none, all those in favor of this annexation on first reading, please raise your hand. And that's unanimous, thank you. Moving down to new business item number 5. This is a first reading of an ordinance to amend the FY 2021-22 budget to provide funding for repairs to the fire suppression system at the Thoroughbred Racing Hall of Fame. By title, an ordinance amending the budget of the city of Aiken for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2021 and ending June 30th, 2022. Is there a motion?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Broll. Is there a second?
Second, sir.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Price. Comments from staff?
Thank you. We announced to council and to our residents that we had to close the Thoroughbred Racing Hall of Fame and Museum in November for repairs to the fire suppression system. We received several costs based on the type of work. We're recommending going with the vendor Fire Technology, who has provided us this work of and a cost estimate of $40,000. And it is a supply chain issue, so the work will begin around March 1st or earlier if parts are received earlier. But to complete this work, we do need to do a budget amendment so we can reopen the facility. I do want to note that the valuables, the silver, the trophies, the priceless collection of artifacts have been relocated to a secure, undisclosed location on city property. So the building itself is at risk, but the valuables inside have been relocated elsewhere.
Very good, thank you.
We thought about dividing it up by 1/7 and letting each of you take 1/7 of the artifacts with you for safekeeping, but we nixed that and found a better
Put it under
solution.
a-
Undisclosed secure location.
Yes.
By heavy
All right.
guard.
All right,
You can say so.
city manager got me on that one. Any comments from the audience?
It was Rick that did it.
Any comments or questions from council other than about the jewels and the gold?
Silver.
Yeah.
Farmer's market.
The farmer's market. Very good. All right, all those in favor of this budget amendment, please raise your hand. And that's unanimous. Thank you.
I do want to thank the chief for helping us secure the valuables and helping PRT, so I'll leave it at that.
Very good. Very good. All right. Item number 6, new business. This is a first reading of an ordinance to amend the city code regarding noise by title, an ordinance amending Chapter 22, Article 2 of the Aiken City Code regarding noise. And before we take a motion, we obviously covered this in several work sessions, but I would recognize our city manager to give us an executive summary of the changes.
Thank you. We have, this has been something staff, now that we've gotten some stability and some key positions, have worked very hard on to update. And I have asked the Assistant City Manager, Ms. Lawton, to come up and sort of, I'm going to pass that off to her. And she did have some clarification of some questions and some items we discussed at the work session. So I will pass the baton to her.
Ms. Lawton, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you very much, Mr. Beedenbow. So just as a general summary, the ordinance, the code before you includes a list of noises prohibited explicitly. It is noted that this is a non-exclusive list and there is opportunity for finding of a violation for items generating noise not in that, explicit list through either making sound in excess of the stated decibel levels, and or an officer using his or her best judgment to determine that based on a list of metrics, the noise is unreasonable. So there's flexibility there for an officer to to go into the field and investigate and make a finding. There's also language for said officer to use a sound level meter, a piece of technology to go and determine that the noise is excessive. So 2 paths there to find a violation. There is a list of exemptions given, and there's still that option for our citizens to utilize a noise variance, so that they can have an event that would create noise in excess of the stated levels. So that's a summary, but I wanted to clarify, we have language that limits the technology that can be utilized. So we joked about an app, but we were careful to incorporate kind of a standard list of standards that any noise meter has to comply with.
Without listing like brands or
Without
that
limiting
sort of
us so
thing.
that we'll have outdated technology codified still 3 years down the line, exactly. And the other point of clarification, it was asked what our current maximum decibel level is, and I just want to clarify, we don't have anything in the current language like that mirrors what we're proposing, where there's just a set standard threshold based on hours of day. There's that 75 decibel reading is tied to specific types of noise generated. It doesn't apply to all noises, so I didn't want to mislead council, but that language again lives in section 2236 and then in 2237 of our current ordinance. That's the only place there is a specific level given, and that's the 75 decibels measured at 50 feet, or a prima facie violation is found if there's a reading of 85 decibels measured at the property line. So it actually spikes when you're standing on the property line. Just wanted to make sure that was clear.
And the variances for the downtown business zoning
Yes.
is still at the privy and the judgment of the city manager's office.
Correct. And the city manager's office does consult with various departments, namely public safety.
Who obviously
And
have,
PRT.
who have the task of obviously enforcing. this.
Enforcing, correct.
Very, very good, because I know we had received several emails concerned about that in that district specifically, so I appreciate that staff had addressed that. So, all right, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so that's what's before us tonight. At this time, I'd look for a motion for first reading.
So moved.
All right, thank you, Councilman Jericho. Is there a second?
Second, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make an addendum to that, though.
Yes, sir.
Thought we were going to change the daytime hours to 7 from 6.
I think that's in it.
It's in there.
That is in it.
Is that it?
As, it is not in it.
The current ordinance states 6 a.m. still.
Okay,
You
so,
have,
Good catch.
good catch. Thank you for that. All right, so
While he's
I'd
calling.
like to say two potential amendments to it, if you're willing to make your motion, that the time start at 7
Right.
a.m. instead of 6, and also that it goes in effect instead of immediately on April 1st. That way we have a time to educate, as staff said so.
We'll get you a stool.
if you want to flip to page 143, daytime hours, the 6 a.m. is for every day except Sunday, and that's 9 a.m. on Sunday. So there is that distinction. So the amendment, I'm assuming we would want to amend that daytime hours definition section, and you'll
To
have to
6,
determine whether you
to
want
7.
to leave Sunday at 9 a.m.
We can leave Sunday as it is.
Yes.
So leave Sunday at 9, to start at 9 a.m. and the other 6 days, 7 a.m.
Well, and this question too, then, on the back end, we were talking about, it was still gonna be 10 o'clock with the possibility of going to 11 if they requested it. Is that in there?
Special exception.
Yeah, for downtown
That-
business
that
business
is in-
zoning only.
Okay, so we don't need to add that. All right.
Yeah.
So
So the motion would be with those two amendments, that the standard be 7 o'clock, and that we don't enforce this until April 1st, so we have a time to educate everyone on it.
Very good.
That's a motion and second. Good catch, Mr. Waltz. Very good. Any comments from the audience? Okay. Thank you. Comments, questions, council? Hearing none, all those in favor on first reading, please raise your hand. And that's unanimous. Thank you. I do want to thank all the staff who's worked on this. I know it's been a big endeavor, and appreciate the effort that you put into that.
The last sentence in here should be, this all depends on common sense.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
Oh, imagine.
Our whole ordinance book should be that, really, shouldn't it? So, right. All right, item number 7 under new business, this is approval of a grant award from the South Carolina Department of Public Safety for Kennedy Middle School Resource Officer. Is there a motion?
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
All over the
Fight over
house.
that
Councilwoman Price made the motion, Councilwoman Diggs made the second. Comments from staff?
Thank you. We were notified by the State Department of Public Safety that we were awarded a grant for a resource officer at Kennedy Middle School for the period January 1 through June 30th. $107,282. That pays the salary plus equipment, vehicle, etc. So it does require, in order to accept the grant, approval from council before the chief can execute the grant agreement.
All right, very good. Comments from the audience? Comments, questions from council? Hearing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. And that's unanimous. Thank you. So we move down to the pending next issue. This is a first reading of an ordinance to adjust the 21-22 budget to include grant funding for the school resource officer at Kennedy Middle School by titling this ordinance amending the budget of the city of Aiken for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2021 and ending June 30th, 2022. Is there a motion? Councilwoman Diggs made the motion. Councilwoman Brohl.
And she
I
did a little,
second.
she made a little squeak.
Okay, okay. So Councilwoman Brohl made the motion, Councilwoman Diggs seconded it. Thank y'all. Comments from staff?
Thank you. Since you have approved the grant, we now must pass a budget ordinance amendment, and that is before you this evening for said funds.
Thank you, Mr. Bingo. Any comments from the audience? Comments, questions from council? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. And that's unanimous. Thank you. Move down to petitions and requests. Item number 1 is an approval of a resolution to provide water and sanitary sewer services to property located on Whiskey Road near the intersection of Whiskey Road and Southmeadows Boulevard. By title, a resolution authorizing the provision of water and sanitary sewer utility services to property located on Whiskey Road. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman Waltz. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilwoman Price. Comments from staff?
Thank you. We do have this request for water and sanitary sewer service for the storage units of approximately 105,000 square feet, which would consist of 83 units. And it is not contiguous, and it is in our unincorporated area, but served by our water and sewer. We do have water service available, sewer services available on the southwest corner. You cannot locate any dry detention in that existing water line, on the water line or in the easement. Also, we wanted to make sure we had shared access resolved and that emergency access was not blocked. So the Planning Commission heard this request. All those present unanimously recommended approval with the 8 conditions that this executed agreement be filed at the RMC office, the property annex as soon as it is contiguous, that the city engineer approve the design of the water and sewer system, and that the detention basin does not interfere with the utility services or easements, that the landscaping comply with our tree preservation and landscaping regulations, that the landscape plan comply with the city of Aiken's open space and buffer requirements, the sign meet the requirements noted, that the ingress-egress drive receive an encroachment permit approval from DOT, and that the developer work with staff, our traffic consultant, DOT, and the adjacent property owner to design a shared driveway that would service both the storage facility and the property to the north.
All right, very good. Thank you, Mr. Beedmo. Any comments from the audience? Comments, questions from council? I have one question. Whose responsibility is it to follow up that is filed at the RMC?
I think that is, we file the paperwork at the RMC, correct? Yeah, we will file it once it's signed.
Okay.
So that would be the city clerk.
Okay, all right. Well, I trust it, and that's great. Thank you. All right, hearing no questions beyond that, all those in favor, please raise your hand. And that's unanimous, thank you. Moving down, petitions and requests, item number 2. This is approval of a resolution to accept a deed of dedication for water and sanitary sewer lines and related equipment for townhomes of Chukker Creek Phase 1 by title of resolution authorizing the acceptance of a deed of dedication from J&M Property LLC. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman Giardo. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Waltz. Comments from staff?
Thank you. We do, now that we've amended our LDR to be land development regulations to be in compliance with DHEC, we're getting a lot of these in the moment in that immediate aftermath. So we've got this, which is the townhomes of Chukker Creek, Phase 1, located off of Whiskey Road. As an aside, we were asked, the easement issue involving this property has been appropriately resolved and recorded.
Thank you, Mr. Beedmo. Any comments from the audience? Okay. Comments, questions from council? Hearing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. And that's unanimous, thank you. Moving down, petitions and requests to item number 3. This is an approval of a resolution to accept deed of dedication for street, water, and sanitary sewer lines and related equipment for Powerhouse Landing Phase 4 by title, a resolution authorizing the acceptance of a deed of dedication for Sorensen Drive and sanitary sewer and water facilities in Powerhouse Landing Phase 4 from Powerhouse Development. Is there a motion?
So move, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Councilwoman Brohl. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilman Giardo, comments from staff?
This has been reviewed by engineering staff and they recommend acceptance.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Beanville. Any comments from the audience? Okay. Comments, questions from council? Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the resolution, please raise your hand. And that's unanimous. Thank you. Moving down, petitions and requests, item number 4. This is an approval of a resolution to accept a deed of dedication for water, sanitary sewer, and storm sewer systems and related equipment, ND, easements, in New London Apartments by title of resolution authorizing the acceptance of a deed of dedication for water, sanitary sewer, and storm sewer systems in the New London Apartments from New London Apartments LLC. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman Giardo. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Thank you, Councilwoman Brohl. Comments from staff?
This also has been reviewed by our engineering staff and is up for acceptance.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Any comments from the audience? Comments, questions from council? Hearing none, all those in favor, please raise your hand. And that's unanimous. Thank you. Moving down to item number 5. This is an approval of a resolution to accept a deed of dedication for water, sanitary, water, sewer, and stormwater systems and related equipment and easements for Oakmans Bluff and Woodside by title of resolution authorizing the acceptance of a deed of dedication from Reserve at Hollow Creek LLC. Is there a motion?
I so moved.
Councilwoman Diggs, is there a second?
Second.
All right, thank you, Councilman Giardo. Comments from staff?
The engineering staff reviewed the request from Woodside Development and recommends acceptance.
Thank you, Mr. Beedman. Any comments from the audience? Comments, questions from council?
I have just a comment, a question to
Yes,
our
ma'am.
city manager, and just for those folks who are watching us. these deed of dedications that we're approving, we've approved quite a few. These folks live in the city, and we're just accepting these dedication of roads and water and sewer.
That is correct. DHEC requires us to, if you're a private entity, a developer, you can operate a water, sewer, and/or stormwater system, but there's a lot of regulations that are involved, and since the city already has the license and the staff and the capacity, developers typically transfer those at no cost to us, those utilities, and then they make a request and we inspect it and then recommend the transfer. And then once council approves it by a majority vote, it is then part of our utility system. We're responsible for maintaining it, and the way we have the funds to maintain these utilities is through the water and sewer and stormwater rates we bill our customers every month.
And thank you so much. Oftentimes, people hear us doing all this, and they're wondering why we're moving so fast. It's because this is the process in terms of how we...
Exactly. We just recently, we used to accept it after it had been in operation for a year to 2 years, but DHEC informed us that was contrary to their regulations. So we had to accept it once it's complete and inspected. So because of that, we got a lot of these up front because it's been a busy year for new development in the city.
Thank you for taking
Very
the time to
good.
explain.
Good explanation.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, any other questions, comments? All those in favor of the resolution, please raise your hand. That's unanimous, thank you. All right, item number 6 is an approval of a resolution to authorize renewing a lease with Franclif LLC regarding driveway access to Wendy's Restaurant on Whiskey Road. By title, a resolution authorizing renewal of a lease with Franclif LLC. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second, Mayor.
All right, Councilman Jarrett made the motion, Councilwoman Price made the second. Comments from staff?
Thank you. The property owner, we have a 5-year lease with them and have had one since 2002. It comes up for renewal in several months, so the property owner is agreeable to extending the lease at no cost to us. And the purpose of this is it clarifies who maintains the median, and it allows for public access as part of our connectivity along Whiskey Road.
Very good.
And passage of this will allow this relationship to continue for another 5 years.
Perfect. All right, thank you, sir. Any comments from the audience? Okay. Comments, questions from council? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor of this resolution, please raise your hand. And that's unanimous, thank you. Now, petitions and requests, item number 7. This is a request to place banners in the downtown to promote various events. Do we have particular?
The only thing I will mention, these are, every request but one are for various city events. We did, of course, Run United, which is scheduled for the end of April. Ms. Priester has requested permission. One thing I think that's unique about this is hanging banners on the arbors on Newberry Street, which I know we began doing as part of our Veterans Hometown Heroes program. So anyway, that is a request that makes this a little unique compared to some of the other traditional ones.
All right, very good. With that information, is there a motion?
So moved.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Price. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, thank you, Councilwoman Diggs. Any comments from the audience? Okay, comments, questions from council? Hearing none, all those in favor of the request to place banners in downtown, please raise your hand. And that's unanimous. Yeah. With that, we'll move down to information. Mr. Beanbo, anything under issues and updates?
Yes, real quick, several items. First, I apologize. I I told the city clerk to throw out your invitations to a ribbon cutting that was Friday. I did not read the email correctly from Mr. Reynolds. January 14th, there were going to be 2 events at the library. The first one is still on. It is Friday, January 14th at 10 a.m. at the main library on Chesterfield Street. And they will have a ribbon cutting, and all of council received invitations at our office. But anyway, I apologize for the confusion, and I'll send an email out, but that is on at 10 a.m. What was postponed to the end of March was a reception that was supposed to be held that evening at the library to show the library off. That will get another invitation that will not go in the wastebasket. So 10 a.m. Friday at the main branch of the library on Chesterfield, ribbon cutting of the new renovated library. Second, the State of the City. As we know, we've moved it to a virtual event again this year due to, I guess, the uptick in COVID. So we will have a virtual event that will roll out at around 6 a.m. on Monday the 24th, 2 weeks from today. In lieu of that, though, we do have a lot of business, as you can see, so we will have a council meeting. The mayor's requested we go ahead and just have a regular council meeting at 7 without a work session. So there will be no State of the City event to show up to. This will all be on our YouTube channel and on our social media, thank you. And it is at 6 p.m. Is when it will be rolled out for the public. So that's what I have.
Horizon State.
Oh, thank you. Yes, New Horizons, again, you've got several emails there. It's going to be Thursday, January 27th at Rye Patch, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. It will be I've got a facilitator, Ms. Irene Tyson of the Boudreaux Group will facilitate to get council to work with us to give us some direction as we move forward and put the budget together. Be very few, it won't be like Horizons of the past where it's multiple staff presentations. I did ask the finance director, since money is very important in terms of how the city operates, she will give a presentation, just kind of a snapshot halfway through the fiscal year, and some crystal ball projections, very preliminary projections of revenue for next year. And then we will have our financial planner, David Cheatwood, give a presentation as we move forward on the financing of the water plant. And we'll also have a report from our staff, our consultant about the Mason Branch Brunswick property, but it'll be primarily facilitated council interaction and direction is the purpose of it. So that's Thursday, January 27th at Rye Patch, starting at 8 a.m. and lasting till no later than 1 p.m.
Very good. Thanks.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I got an email today, and I think I referred her to Stewart, from DHEC. Kristen Slocum said that on behalf of the Division of Tobacco Control and Prevention, we would like to congratulate the City of Aiken for its efforts and its comprehensive smoking protections for clean air. We are pleased to announce that we would like to present Aiken with our smoke-free Palmetto certification. Our hope is to have our Midlands Health Director present this plaque to Mayor Osmond and City Council at an upcoming meeting.
Very good.
So,
Well, thank you for sharing that. Well done. All right. Hearing nothing else, I would look for a motion to adjourn at this time.
Moved.
Councilman Jericho, is there a second? Councilman Wool and Councilwoman Price, there's a third. All right, all those in favor, please stand up. We're adjourned.